Hi everyone, Comic Book Reviewer here. This time reviewing on Back to the Future, the game. Now, Back to the Future, the game is an episodic graphic adventure based game on the Back to the Future film series, as well as being something similar to a fourth and fifth Back to the Future film. And yeah, the game was also released on Microsoft Windows, PS3 and 4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and even the Wii. Now, the game that I do have is the 2015 re-release that also introduced Thomas Fell Wilson returning as Biff Tannen. And yeah, in the original release, you had Kid Beyond as the original voice for Biff Tannen in the game, which didn't really suit Kid Beyond being the best choice. And the premise of the game takes place 6 months after the events of Back to the Future 3. We see how the bank has begun foreclosing on Doc's home. We see how Molly finds Doc's journal, as well as the DeLorean time machine that is later revealed to be a temporal duplicate caused by a lightning in the second film. From the second film, we do see how Molly goes back to 1931 to help Doc Brown bust him out of prison, as well as dealing with Biff Tannen's father, who runs an illegal drinking place. And of course, the point of the game is trying to figure out how to fix your mistakes, as well as trying to stop Kid Tannen's reign of terror. And over the course of the game, we do kind of see how one thing ends on a good note, but of course, much like the Back to the Future fashion, you do see how after returning back to 1986, we see that Hill Valley has now turned into a sort of like alternative city where Edna Strickland, who's meant to be the sister of Principal Strickland, and Doc Brown ended up getting married. And we could do see how Edna ends up taking control of Doc Brown's life and turning Hill Valley into a dystopia. And of course, this is Marty going back in time to prevent the two from meeting when they were younger and help fix the mistakes. I would say the game feels more like an alternative version of Back to the Future 4 and 5, as well as copying elements from Back to the Future 2 and 3. Like, yeah, much like Back to the Future 2, instead of a kind of dystopian world, you actually have a world that is more run by rules and more in control. And much like Back to the Future 2, you do end up going back in time to help fix the mistakes. And I think I give the game credit in showing what the characters were like when they were younger, like showing how Doc Brown was more of a guy with ambitions, and you can tell his father acts the way he does, who's meant to be the judge, is afraid that Emmett Brown will put himself in danger. But you do see over time gets amazed by his kind of skills. And I think the point of Edna Strickland is meant to be a different counterpart to Biff. The point of Edna is that she wants to believe that she's the good guy. Everything she does is for the right reasons. And it's heavily implied that the reason why her brother acts the way he does is because of Edna's influence. And over the course of the game, you are going to need to use certain items to get to a location, certain items to give to someone, or a certain item to help you progress quicker. And I think what I give the game credit is showing you the 1931 of Hill Valley, as well as showing you what characters were like when they were younger, what happened before, during the events of the game. And I think bringing back the original cast does work, like Christopher Lloyd for Dr. Brown, as well as bringing back Thomas F. Wilson for the 2015 re-release. I just think Kid Beyond doesn't really fit what Biff Tannen's supposed to. And I do think as well bringing back Claudia Wells for Jennifer really fitted her, because I think when you've got her alternative 1986 counterpart of her being more of a rebel and a tomboy, really kind of fitted the tone of her voice, making her sound like this really tough badass. And I would say, yeah, it's kind of interesting to see all the references from Back to the Future, like back from the first film when you had Marty plugging in his guitar in Doc's big sound system, or when you got them mentioning events from the past games. It actually shows you that the team took more precautions and more knowledge on what they wanted to do. And I think it's a shame that, yeah, we never got another Back to the Future game, but I think here it feels like an actual final. I think not only is it Marty's story about learning more of his family and roots, the same with Trixie and his dad's, his grandfather, but also showing Doc wanting to sort of follow, also showing how Doc wanted to go the distance, but eventually would gain something better thanks to Marty's influence. And I think Enna is definitely a believable threat, because unlike Biff, who's dumb and stupid, Enna is more cunning. She knows how to manipulate Emmett into getting what she wants, and she believes she's the good guy. I think, to me, Back to the Future, the game, is enjoyable. If you're a fan of the old classic 80s film, this is definitely your game. So I think it deserves a thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.